Little hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to an E-Tims podcast, or as my wife calls it, another podcast. And it's only been 3 days, I think, or 2 days since our last one, but we did say, given it's a very special week, that we would try and be back as soon as possible to reflect on the big games of this week and then even next week. So I am glad to say that we have a full house. I have been joined by Hector Bandido. Good evening, Hector.
Evening, guys.
I have been joined by Ralph Mal. Good evening, Ralph.
Hello, how you doing?
And Shocking I've even been joined by Monty C. Burns. It's nice to see you, Monty Burns. How are you?
Evening, lads. How's everybody?
Thank you very much for joining. Right, okay, as normal, we're going to start, we're new tradition, we're going to start with our listeners' letters, because I've been having follow-up letters since the letters from my last podcast, right? So first of all, I've got a letter from a lawyer, Miss Sue DeMol, the lawyer for Karen Not So Happy Celtic Lass, who claims she did not send any letters backing Ralph Mal and is now seeking damages. So Ralph, be aware there may be a letter in the post for you. So Karen Happy Celtic Lass is not happy. And Mr. C. McGregor says, Monty C. Burns, your tales of my demise are premature. So this please keep that note. And meanwhile, someone called Yang's Muse says, and you, Hector, don't you get too comfortable. There's some humble pie for you to eat.
Still shite.
All right, okay. So, and also we have a few congratulations. Let me get them out of the way. Congratulations to Mr. J.J. Rockefeller Waddle over in upstate New York, who listens to us on his boat into work in the morning. Even Monty C. Burns doesn't do that, right? And his boat and his horse, Blue Roof Bow, romped home the other day. He promises his next horse will have been in the title of Celtic. But JJ asked Monty, do you need a helping hand with your attendance as he misses your AMSR style voice?
Yeah, I didn't take too kindly to your comment on the podcast that I missed a couple of days ago, that my time was, I think the phrase used was fluid. My half an hour was fluid. Something along those lines. So, yeah, to be fair, you were bang on the money.
I was actually tempted to ask you what podcast was it you missed there, because there is quite a few, let's be honest. Let's try and nail it down a bit. Okay, and then finally, this best wishes to Belfast Jason, the Hun from Portadown, who is our official one Hun listener, and he is getting married, so very good. Congratulations to Jason. Let's crack on. We are here to talk about, it's Monday evening at 9 p.m. GMT, and we are here to talk about yesterday's big game. Feel free, guys, to go back even longer to the Hearts and who the Hearts play again?
Motherwell.
Motherwell. It's been so long, but yesterday was unbelievable. So, Hector, last time we talked, you were a bit trepidatious. You thought 7 points would be enough, but you suspected we may get a draw. Monty didn't turn up for the last podcast, but just a quick recap, Monty. What did you think the score would have been yesterday?
Yesterday, I said that we would beat them comfortably. We would score 3 against them.
Okay, it's that long ago since you turned up and maybe said that. Most of us have forgotten.
Yeah, got to back and check the podcast.
I'm telling you, it's there in the transcript.
You
can look it
up.
Okay. So any thoughts from any of you guys on Saturday evening's game? I was out, so I missed most of it, but I did ping in their WhatsApp chat. I didn't want to turn it on because when I heard that it was 1-0 to Motherwell, and then I think it was 1-8 at half time.
I watched the full game, Desi. I watched the full game, and it was a strange in terms of, it was actually quite nervous. Somebody ever said to you at the start of the season or any season, you'll watch in the last maybe 7 or 8 days of a season, Motherwell v Hearts, and feel nervous. You'd go, you fucking off your nut, right? That's where we are.
8 p.m. on a Saturday night.
And then you said, Missy says to you, another podcast, Missy's going, even Mama doesn't like football, going, Motherwell versus Hearts, right? On a Saturday night. But we watched it, me and my youngest were watching it, and it was it was a nervy game. You can actually, we were feeling a bit nervous, but you could feel it within the match itself. Motherwell are a football team, we know that. Hearts aren't really a football team. Hearts are really well organised. No, but you've got to play their strengths, right? They are so well organised, right? That's a big strength to have. but they have got 2 game plans. They'll try and play wee short passes slowly and try and get the strikers to just try and maybe shackle to bully somebody, create a bit of space for Braga. And if that's not working, they revert to hitting a channel, going long throws direct. So that's it with them, right? But it's effective for them. Motherwell was a football team, so it's 2 complete different styles of play. Motherwell went ahead, poor mistake with Hearts, but there was never any real flow to the game. It never had a flow to it, mainly because of how Hearts play. And then Hearts got the equaliser. It was probably fair, half time. But you felt the nerves throughout the game. You seen both teams were kind of struggling a wee bit with control. Because Motherwell's gone for 4th, aren't they, for that Europa League place. And they're within a ball here of getting it. Although Hibs did thump Falkirk earlier that day, which was a bit of a surprise, I think, at Falkirk. So second half's going on. It's building and building. Then Hearts get a foothold in the game. And they've kind of took control, maybe for 15, 20 minutes. Then you had the dive that was a stonewall penalty by all accounts, right? And all the footage that's out. It's
that
a
one,
dive.
the broken ankle, that one.
The broken ankle. But here's the thing that was really interesting about it, and you've all seen this, but just watching it at the time, the referee McLean doesn't give a penalty, right? He gives nothing. VAR calls him over. So when we're all expecting the same thing, when VAR calls a ref over, and especially in Scotland, he's going to give a penalty. And we're all expecting it. So the biggest surprise was that McLean stood his ground and went, no. So hopefully the audio of that's released, because they tend to release that a few weeks later. Probably call and wait to the end of the season's out the way in a week's time before he does that, and I get that. But it was really fascinating that's one of the very few occasions where a Scottish referees went no to VAR, because VAR should only call them over if it's a clear and obvious error. And it wasn't a clear and obvious error. And that's the issue. The threshold in VAR was supposed to be raised, and you only call the ref for a clear and obvious error, and it wasn't. So fair play, McLean stuck to his guns, and he's been proven right. You wouldn't think that listening to Michael Stewart also was one of the good guys, but Hearts is his team. He's shown his bias like everyone else, I suppose, when it comes to Hearts. But there's a few of them. And then it was KG. Hearts got a couple of bad injuries. The boy Leonard, who's a good player in midfield for them, and Halkett, who's their best defender. It was just 2 of the injuries that were kind of, wasn't a bad tackle. They sort of went over on their ankle, and their Achilles is sort of done. They're out for the rest of the season. So overall, it was really nervy. It was 1 each, but I must admit, I was nervous watching it, and that doesn't happen very often unless it's your own team. It's a strange one, but good result for Celtic. Very good result for Celtic.
Well, we'll come to that in a second. Ralph?
I watched the game as well. I'd kind of planned to watch it, and I don't want to start a conspiracy theory that Hearts fans would jump on, but 8 o'clock on a Saturday night is a ridiculous time to be playing football. So they would have had all day to be thinking about it and nervous about it, and I don't think it helped. And there was a kind of nervousness in the crowd as well. And they would have had all day to worry about it and think about it. So I'm kind of thinking now that helped us a wee bit. It didn't help any of them too. It certainly helped us because it just felt weird to watch a game at that time. But I want to pick up on something you said about the VAR, the clear and obvious error. Should there not be, I've seen a tweet about this earlier on today, should there not be a time limit on working it out? Because if it takes 3 or 4 minutes to find the error or to overturn the decision, then surely it's not clear and obvious if they can't spot it using all those angles almost immediately. And if we're to continue with VAR, should not that be a rule? Maybe
there's only one exception to that, Ralph. I would say, having seen the Arsenal-West Ham game yesterday, it was a corner, it was chaos. I think for a VAR, especially in England, they've got all the cameras compared to Scotland. You could see how it would take them that length of time, because it must be about 5 fouls taking place in that one corner kick that came in. But I think you're right, with ones like that Hearts game, it was a quick one. It was like Motherwell defender, Hearts player. It shouldn't take 5 minutes or whatever long it took to do that. So I'm with you on that one.
Okay, we'll come to Monty now. Monty, the big question for you. 3 Celtic nations now being led by independent friendly parties. How does that impact Celtic's title ambitions? Right, no, I'm only kidding. That's another podcast. That's another podcast, another time. But Monty, let's see. So you are in the lovely Iberian Peninsula, I believe. You're in sunny Portugal at the moment.
I am indeed, yes.
How did you prepare for yesterday's game after the win?
I was on a flight at 5 to 6 out of Belfast into Faro. By the time I got myself set and down the house, it was kind of about 11 o'clock anyway. So it was in, cup of coffee, classic Iberian sort of peninsula sunshine, and then just sat and enjoyed it and drank it in, and then literally drank it in too after.
Have you found a Celtic pub there yet? Have you fought?
There's a few. Yeah, there's a couple of bars that are classic sort of plastic Irish bars. They show the GAA and they show the football. But it's a strange little part of the Algarve down here. It's very Portuguese, so it'll be on in the background and little cafes and little sort of tashkas. And it's a hell of a lot more enjoyable to watch than there, Desi. So kind of spoiled.
Okay, right. So I'm just wary of. I want to catch up with Hector, especially in respect to. I think it was 10:30 yesterday. I was kind of busy, similar, running about, etc. No really at my phone. And my daughter said, she said 10:30. Team must be out soon. I went and said, no, usually about an hour before. And then a wee little bit later, she goes, team's out. And I went, all right. Any surprises? And I text Hector about 10 minutes later. Martin O'Neill, curveball, classic. Luke McCowan. Hector, were you surprised, or were you just waiting to see what one it would be, what curveball it would be before the game?
Well, we spoke in the last podcast, and the one that Monty never showed up at. We spoke in the last podcast, right?
The latest Monty never turned up at.
Was that one. But listen, joking aside, we were talking about that, and the pattern had been set in recent weeks. The team, 10 of the starting 11, if they're all fit, was a stick-on for the game on Sunday. The only one place that was up for grabs was that final left wing position, because it'd been a mixture of Tuneke, Jamesy, Maeda playing left wing sometimes when Fanchara was starting weeks ago. But so it was set, but to put Yankee left wing and McCowan sort of right wing, inverted right mid kind of position, I don't think that was anybody's.
Curveball.
Aye, I don't think that was on anybody's sort of. And that's what it is, and ultimately it's about results, and that's all that matters, isn't it? But yeah, it was that one curveball that we seem to get, but it seems to be that wing position, doesn't it, all the time now? It's that one position.
Yeah, but again, there was another curveball, Ralph. I don't know if you were interested whatsoever, but my daughter, when I said curveball, I actually exclaimed curveball when she says McCowan, because we were trying to work out where McCowan was playing on it. We were like, what's happening there? And we didn't get it right. We did not think he was on the right wing. But another curveball, Ralph, was wee Nico Raskin been totally dropped by Rangers. So I don't know if you noticed that, anybody cared, but my daughter immediately went, Raskin's not in, and she went, Raskin's not even in the squad. So actually I'm hoping there's a wee added bonus of he's fell out with Danny Rowe altogether, doesn't play again, and then doesn't get the World Cup. So that way, this day we added wee sprinkles of joy you get in the season. That would just be nice for me. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. But Ralph,
what he has done, he's put in to get his own image rights and everything, and try to get the copyright on his name. Like Raskin, the Beckhams and all that.
Raskin or
Rowe? Raskin.
Again, I don't know if you remember, but Monty will certainly remember because it's his field. Michael Ballack when he joined Chelsea was the highest paid footballer in the world, purely because he owned his own football rights.
Yep.
So he go to charge them every time he was in a programme. You know what I mean? Things like that. But
with the likes of we'll come on to it. Sorry, Desi, go on ahead. Keep the flow.
So I was going to say, getting to the game. Let's get up to the actual game itself. So that was the curveball. McCowan's in somewhere. We weren't really sure where. McCowan's in somewhere. My wee story about was going to the game. We picks up the guy. I go to the game with Andy. We start talking. Do you hear the team? Do you hear what blah blah blah? No, and he says we just need to win the day. Just need to win. We can only win. And my daughter went, well, we can draw. And he went, no, what do you mean? And we said to him, well, if we draw, we can still beat Hearts and goal difference in the last day if we win on Wednesday. And he's like, all right, okay, I never realised that. But as soon as we started talking about that, all I had in my mind was a wee voice saying, if we lose the day, we might face the scenario of having to let Hearts beat us to stop Rangers winning the league. You know, that tiny wee whispering voice going, please fuck, this would be the worst case scenario you could ever have. You know what I mean? So that was me driving past Sheffield just going, oh fuck, please do not let that happen. Please do not give me that fear this whole week that we would have that. You know what I mean?
And Mr. Negativity strikes
No.
There he goes again. I didn't have a negative thought in my mind. I was all positive.
And George, the regular listener, will know I have been the person going on about only one team. No team has ever won all 5 games in the split. Only one team. I'm paraphrasing Craig Burley. Remember Craig Burley when we won the League Cup? And he says only one team can win the treble when we won the League Cup at Ibrox. So I've been paraphrasing Craig Burley. Only one team can win all 5 games in the split. And that's us after Hearts drawn the other night. So this a wee quick minute, Hector, for you getting to the ground, because there's been a lot of talk about the atmosphere in the ground during the game, but outside the ground, what was it like yesterday? I mean, it was one of the magic days.
We get parked up, you find your spot and all that, and it's pretty much the same place every home game, and we kind of get there about 11, so by the time we park and get towards the grounds, maybe about 1:15 outside the ground. But you know it's a big game because the place is mobbed. See that hour to 45 minutes outside the ground, and the streets leading up to the ground are mobbed, and the young teams out 1 or 2 libations there, let's be said. And there's just an energy and a noise that usually it's reserved for massive games like European, Champions League nights midweek, but games against them or crunch games towards the end of the season. And you felt it, you're just yourself. You feel it, and you walk down, and it's great. It's a great vibe to it, and everybody's kind of buzzing. There's an energy about it, and you just know it's reinforced. We already know it's a big game, right? We've been old enough to have been through a lot, thankfully, but it ups the level several gears, doesn't it? It's a great thing to experience.
No, that's it. And again, it was a beautiful day. It wasn't overly hot, but it was as bright as anything, bright and sunny, blue sky, beautiful. Even us in the main stand, we got to cast our travel blankets aside, and we could stand in the sunshine in the Celtic way, just waiting to go in. So like, well, okay, that's 22, let's go in. Because again, you're wanting to go in and see what the tifo was like. You're wanting to go in and cheer the team off for warming up. It was this one of the ones. The charge was this there. Even the people who traditionally turn up to their seat a bit late, they were all in early. That way you always know them when about you. Everyone was in early. It's pure real. Stevie, the guy next to us, he's turned up. Everybody's there in green, the usual stuff people do. This guy, Stevie, turns up. His denims, a royal blue t-shirt, and a Ralph Lauren royal blue hat, or dark blue, whatever colour. But it's got an R for Ralph Lauren. I'm going, you just look like a Rangers mascot. It's pure blue with a big R on his hat. And I don't know if his wife dressed him that day, but clearly he wasn't thinking what he was doing. But so then we get to the game. So atmosphere was brilliant. Walk on was cracking. I don't know again. Monty, Ralph, did that come across in the telly at all? Was the coverage on the telly any good? Were you buzzed for the kickoff?
They've kind of changed it a wee bit now when they do the games, because before they would turn down the crowd noise and they would have the experts saying what they thought was going to happen. Now they actually let you watch the beginning of the game. Right. You can hear the crowd. In fact, I think we got Let the People Sing, we got the Celtic song, and then we got Walk On. And we got to hear all of them. It's actually much better than what it has been in previous years. Mm-hmm. But again, they're milking the atmosphere. They love it.
Monty, did you ask your wee senor in the Portuguese taverna to turn that small 18-inch telly up in the corner, please? Well, the special machine was going.
Put another 20 Portuguese pesos in the back of that to keep the black and white screen on. It was clear. I think Ralph's kind of summarised it perfectly. I'm cynical about all this. I'm sorry. So I don't want to take your pessimism and let it rub off on me too early, Desi. The atmosphere is what it is. Sky Sports are just a fucking bunch of charlatans anyway, and they're hamming up a fixture that if we had followed a different path would have been as irrelevant as us against St Mirren. So I can't buy into it, and all I see in my head is Brian Wilson on a large chair stroking a Persian fucking cat, because this is a political pageantry that is played out. And here, if it wins us the league, he will be absolutely entitled to do that. But I don't want to piss on his parade. We're really powerful when we're unified, and the stadium, there's nowhere else like it in football.
But there's one thing though, right, that you obviously won't pick up on when it's through the telly, and it's wee up with me is the place is jumping, right? So see 20 minutes before kickoff, 15 minutes, the place is jumping, and the songs are going, and rather than just put stuff on. I get it. Celtic song 5-3, absolutely tradition, right? Then just as the teams are walking out, you never walk alone. But they shouldn't play anything prior to that, because it's different if it's a November game midweek against Livingston. I get it, right? And it's a bit that. But such a big energy for that game. They could just let the crowd, because the crowd was jumping. They were singing Celtic songs. The Green Brigade are back. The place was buzzing. Yeah. So they just had to. But they've always got to do their stuff. They're da-di-da-di-da. But anyway, let's not get sidetracked on that shit.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's a script. It's a script, and watching it on TV, it's becoming a little bit cliched. And I think you're absolutely bang on. Just let the atmosphere play out, and why not have some fucking controversial opinions instead of the usual tripe? It's becoming a wee bit formulaic for me, and I would much prefer that this fixture was just as irrelevant, as I say, as 3 points at home to Livingston. But that's just where we are right now.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I can feel exactly what you're saying, Monty, because I don't watch, if the game's on telly and I'm watching it on telly, I don't watch any of the build-up. I just wait till literally try and time it just for a kickoff. I don't watch any of the half-time, and I don't watch it at the end. I can't be asked listening to them. But that's by the by. So we get to the game. Kickoff comes along. The cracking big tifo with Green Brigade, Benny Lynch. We'll fight until the end. We'll fight right until the end. Cracking big tifo. Does the tifo? I know it's at your end, Hector. Yeah. Do you get to actually hold any of it, or use it?
Well, it was split in different. It was split in different bits, right? Yep. So the Green Brigade's below us, and they've got the boxer image, right? But see the words are above, right? And there's two rows with the words, and one of them was just in front of us, and one of them was maybe honestly 3 rows behind. So. But normally, if it comes up the top, it's all across us as well. We would help it across the top, yeah.
Excellent. So well done to the Green Brigade, cracking Benny Lynch, tifo. So that was it. So kickoff. So Ralph, quick question for you on the telly. So the first thing I noticed at kickoff is Rangers' new masterclass tactics to stop Desi Maeda pressing, get somebody to pull on his jersey. Did they show you that in the telly?
Yeah. It stood out a mile, and it wasn't just once as well. Every time it looked like that, there was a guy just in his way just to pull him back. And obviously, because he scored quite early in a previous match, that was, bland, definitely.
Pure weird. And Maeda, because it's right in my line of sight. And Maeda turns and looks at the ref to go, what the fuck? I mean, what the fuck? And the ref just kind of as if on with the game. The ball's away to Butland at this point. Basically, and then it just happened again. As you say, again and again, it happened every time there was a kickoff. So that was the weirdest thing. But Monty, the start of the game, Celtic seemed to start quite well. I thought we had a good shot with Engels, saved. Maeda had started that move and never managed to go and end it. But it was a bright and positive taking the game to Rangers start, Monty. Were you happy with that? But you know where this is going.
Yeah, and I don't want to jump too far ahead because I know you've got to follow the roadmap. But we started the game really well. When we come on to the obvious sort of first milestone, my first reaction was going to be back into the WhatsApp going, fucking curveball, there you fucking go. But thankfully it wasn't, given that he got caught in possession and then as the half played out. But yes, we started very well, but then they started knocking it about a bit too. It was your classic start, but you weren't too worried, Desi, as you say. We get out of the blocks well. Formation-wise, no surprises. But as they then started to grow, and I know we'll come on to that, it was clear that that big lad, Chermiti, he can put himself about, and he was worrying us.
He's got great feet for a big lad, as they say.
He's you know what? Maybe, and I hope I'm wrong, but maybe that is his natural home, and he'd find his feet literally, because Everton paid huge money for him, and so seemingly did the Huns. But he was effective for them, Desi. And as that first 10 or 15 minutes kind of played out, you're thinking, fuck, if we had him up front or something that was that effective, we could actually be on to something. But we'll come on to that separately. But yeah, happy with the start. Maeda's clearly found his mojo, and I know we're going to talk about that later too. So.
Yeah, fine. So I'll come to Hector, the resident tactician Hector. At the start, I thought we were quite busy. Yang was taking it, running it, coming across and going forward, etc. Callum McGregor was starting to put in tackles and there was a real drive about McGregor. And then Celtic this season, Hector, they score. They just score for nothing, which is just...
Yeah, it's against the run of play, but it didn't really surprise you, as you say, because it's kind of been the story of the season, isn't it? Where we seem to wee spells of 10, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and then, there's a lull happens.
Yeah.
And we lost possession, and, that happens. We lost it. Their goal was too easy after that, though. It was just too easy. Chermiti just turned Trusty. He had him in string the first half, didn't he? He just turned him so easily. Then he did the good old-fashioned toe bash, right? But actually, Scales did his job. He blocked it, but it was actually going straight at the keeper. Scales wouldn't know that. And then, obviously, Moore came in with the easiest to finish. But it was against the run of play. And obviously, when that goes in, you're going, oh, fuck. But just in terms of for we were at the game, what was good though was the crowd didn't turn. I actually felt it within the stadium. It was and I think that helps a lot. It's things like that where there wasn't this, fucking this and that and that. It was the opposite actually. It sort of galvanised, if anything, the support even more. So that was a big thing for me. Going to go down, that'd have finished the season for us, league-wise anyway, and possibly even second. But the fans just kept it going, and if anything, lifted the atmosphere, I think, the next 10, 15 minutes.
There was something too, Hector. I don't know if you've seen O'Neill's gesture, getting them to calm down. And the last podcast that I turned up for, we talked about O'Neill's.
That was O'Neill's first tenure. Back in 2003, mate.
Back in 2003. That he's been the course and he knows how to navigate these, and you could see him telling them to calm down very, very quickly after they took the lead, and we were still fucking ping-ponging and still just a little bit overhyped. But it was just an interesting dynamic, because I think that's when they started knocking the ball about with a wee bit of cockiness. But as you say, it was quite clear that nobody was turning, that the support was still behind the team. And I think, reading some of the commentary today, listening to some of the stuff that Trusty was saying as well, there is that, how true it is, you're never known until it's tested. But they were saying that they're feeding off that the stadium behind them gave them such a lift. Trusty was talking about it as good as a chance.
You felt it against Falkirk. That was the first game the Green Brigade came back. And you felt it. And it's, people can have their thoughts of Green Brigade. As you know, I'm a massive fan. Like any Ultras group, they'll have times every now and again as a wee thing. The positives by a mile outweigh the negatives, and it's there for all to see for the Falkirk game. And the players are talking about it. So the players who are on the pitch feel the benefit of that vocal support with them, because they've been staying away from home, because the Green Brigade have been turning up at the away games, right? It's been different levels. So again, don't want to make this conversation all about that, but I would just say that the galvanisation of support, the unity support was there at the Falkirk game, and obviously it went up several levels. Even going a goal behind in such an important match, they lifted it. So that's got a big part to play.
Yeah, you great word there, galvanising, because I've just got here my notes here. Cal Mac reborn, Hector, we'll start with you, because I think that was a big factor in that first half. As I say, I'm no bad for the halfway line, for a view of the halfway line. And there was one, again, hopefully it came over on the TV. There was one point where Barron thought he had the ball, and Callum McGregor did like a pivot within sticks it out like a 6-inch, but it was like, what, how the fuck did they manage to beat him with that ball there? But it was his kind of digging on the far side, on the left-hand side, Hector, closer towards you. He was getting stuck in, but it was the Celtic were coming away with the ball. They weren't just scrapping for the ball, you know what I mean? They were winning it and keeping it.
Yeah.
And then there was always two Celtic players gaining an option. So suddenly we had that, remember that pack mentality we always had? No a press mentality, but a pack mentality of everybody in it together. And I think as the first half wore on, going towards the goal, suddenly we were starting to feel that whole everybody's on the same wavelength.
Oh, he led by example. You could see that quite noticeably in many occasions in the first half. The old saying, form's temporary, class is permanent. Every player throughout the season will take a wee dip here and there. But ultimately, if you're a really good player, every good player, I said, every good player, right? But you'll see that there's a wee dip here and there, but when they demonstrate time and time again how good they are, it will come again, especially when the better players start returning to the team. So suddenly, Engels, a lot of folk have questioned it, and I understand it. You pay that money and go, well, he should be standing like a sore thumb as the star. He should stand out 8 out of 10 every game. And the thing with Engels, it's not until Engels isn't in the centre of that midfield. You go, wait a minute, what's missing? Well, what's missing is physicality and energy. That's what's been missing. And him next to McGregor, you suddenly seen the difference there. A fit Engels and a fit McGregor after recent events.
Do you think, like, you've been probably Negron's biggest fan throughout the season? Do you think he's just taking a wee tiny dip at the minute off his 20 goals that he's already bagged, and do you expect him to come back? Or do you think Engels is helping him kind of just level?
I was going to say that, right? And I know Desi's trying to get through this in an order, right? But I was actually going to just mention that, and I'll be very brief on it. That was the first game where I felt every single player, including Negron, and that's one of the criticisms, is his work rate at times can be really off, right? Great for a goal, no one's disputing it, but that work rate and that lack of 100% effort, there's been a question mark with him and others. Yang at times can float out of the game. Every single player, I felt, gave their absolute all in terms of not just on the ball, but the hard graft off the ball. Typified, I don't want to go too far ahead, the last 25 minutes. They were scrapping for everything. And that's all we've been asking for. If you're not playing well, but at least give that commitment. It was great to see from all of them. All of them.
I mean, I'm glad somebody brought Negron up, because again, you might not have had many shots at goal or whatever, but he did a power of work, and he did have some lovely wee interactions. I mean, but sticking with Engels, Ralph, Engels actually starts the move for the goal, which he ultimately then lays on for Yang. But the most notable thing is, and we discussed it in the last podcast, with Alistair Johnson back and Tierney is reborn again yesterday. Suddenly we've got full-backs going beyond the wingers. So Alistair Johnson runs up beyond Luke McCowan, and the defender doesn't know whether to go with AJ or whether there's two defenders there don't know what to do. Engels has played the ball to McCowan and whatever, and then McCowan's looked up, cut inside, a wee pause, Ralph, and I don't know what it is about that right-hand side of that pitch, but the amount of classic goals we've scored, this been like a perfect pass or this something special in that wee channel. Luke McCowan's pass was one of the highlights of the day. Unbelievable. See, when you watch that, unbelievable. Yeah. 2 players in front of him, and he manages to find the perfect ball, weighted perfectly for Engels to run on and play it in with loads of time and space. Unbelievable, Ralph.
Engels demanded it, and he pointed to where he wanted it, which is not to take anything away from the pass itself, because McCowan spotted it, and he played it, and it was perfect and everything else. But it was indicative of the way we'd kind of played. Everything was quicker. There was much more cohesion. Now, whether or not that was down to the crowd already being lifted before the game, which made the players much sharper, much more aware of what to do and where it was to be done. There was one-touch football a lot of the time. And because the players played like that, the crowd rose kind of in conjunction and pushed them on a wee bit further. So whereas before, for example, we might have hesitated a wee bit with McGowan and maybe drawn players to it and played it square. Engels was decisive enough to show where he wanted the ball. It was played, and then it was cut back again, and Yang was waiting to score the offside goal, because I think it's offside if the goalie can't see or
I
something.
know, and Maeda was blocking, and Maeda and I think another 12 Celtic players, according to the callers in his Super Scoreboard tonight, were blocking.
Because obviously Scotland would have dived for the ball if he could have seen it, which he did. So again, it's just nonsense. It's
a cool finish for Yang, by the way.
Oh,
it was excellent.
It's easy to lace that. See,
it's a classic Yang finish, isn't it?
It's easy to lace that, right? It's really easy to lace that, especially you're 1-0 doing such a big game. But just to open and side foot it and instead it sort of curls away to further to the corner. Really cool finish. And what I loved was about 3 of them sprinted to get the ball. Didn't they?
Yeah.
Obviously, Maeda won that race, right? He's always going to win that fucking race, right? About 3 of them sprinted. It was like, right, well done, Yang. Right, ball, back. You know what I mean? Sweet things like that were great to see.
Yep. So a wee bit of huffing and puffing, etc. And then we get to half time, and I'm always like half time. The Celtic players are always warming up in front of right where I stand. And Hatate seemed to be warming up himself quite intensely at half time.
Did you have a stoner when that was happening?
I was trying to go on the pitch, to be honest, but it wouldn't let me. So I was like, I wonder if he's coming on. And then somebody noticed that Taneke had disappeared, and then disappeared.
That's next week.
So sure, that was unfinished. So that was Taneke was coming on. So again, Monty, Taneke, is that firm confirmation that Taneke's an impact player? He's not a starter. He should be coming on to get right into the game rather than trying to bring himself on for the start, because he seems to always play better once he's kind of actually introduced as a sub. Or is that unfair?
I think it's a wee bit unfair, Desi. I think the starting 11 that's there and what O'Neill has gone with over the last while, it is the most effective combinations that he's put together. Like Taneke started House on Fire, then tailed off, then he had the African Cup of Nations. He came back and couldn't really get back in. He's definitely effective. I read an article or an interview with O'Neill too, saying that he's one of these guys who's desperately trying to be better. He's taking extra coaching. The boys are showing him, different things and just trying to bring him on as a player and develop him, which is a good thing too. But I'd say, O'Neill's probably cracked it in terms of his role right now. And he was very good when he came on now on Saturday. And more direct as he'd become far too passive and just going back on that fucking slow-mo horseshoe of death that we had for a while.
Yeah. I'll come back to you in a second, Monty, because I've got something. But yeah, that's I was going to just throw that over to Hector just for a second there to say, Hector, about Taneke. He seems to have stopped trying the old cut in and curl into the top corner plan. Remember that when he came off once, and then he seemed to try and do it every game. He seems to be now trying to cut back and beat the guy like that.
He still cuts inside a lot, right? And he merits criticism because a lot of times he's 1v1s the last number of weeks, and he's not just cut inside, he's put the ball 30 yards back, right? And it's been noticeable with both wings. Him and Yang have done it too much. And I know that won't be the instruction for Neil. He likes to get the crosses in for the byline. It's always been his teams to do that. So it's fine if you're doubled up. If 2 players are on you, I get it, right? But there'll be 1v1s. So it was good when he came on and you could see he was on it. And I get back to the work rate. One thing again with him, like others, there's a few of them, there's been a lack of tracking back, it's sprinting back, to fight and win the ball. He did that. It was noticeable with Taneke. He was on it, and it was brilliant. What a difference it made to his game. Be showing that enthusiasm. I think there was one time where, was it a throw into them or something? He was right in the Rangers player's face. You're going, right, what's this came for? And it was just brilliant to see. Even if it's just for show, it doesn't matter. It gets the fans with you. Probably gives him a wee jolt as well. So they were obviously, this was a cup final for Celtic. It was, right? We'll say that, right? But it was for both teams, I suppose, right? It was just great to see him doing that. And he's still young. There'll be changes this summer. I think it's such a turmoil this season that maybe him a pre-season, whoever the coach is next year or whatever. I think maybe get a wee more consistency with him, and hopefully that is the case. Well,
It'll be interesting seeing him and Mvuka going up for a starting berth next year.
Well, right, but Ralph, you and I are of a certain vintage. See if you may remember this, you may not. But do you remember a certain tabletop game when people were playing Subbuteo? There was an alternative Subbuteo called Striker, and it was it were larger characters, and you used to press the football player's head down, and they would kick the ball. Do you remember that?
And then it would kick it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I took a screenshot. The reason I'm saying that is, and thanks for our elderly listener George for bearing with us. The reason I'm saying that is I took a screenshot yesterday, Ralph, of that perfect moment where Liam Scales looks exactly like a striker player model just before he does that perfect chip for Kieran Tierney. Good old Liam Scales. He said many a doubter, but he had his perfect game yesterday for me. He cleared everything, and then he actually found people with his passes, and that pass over the top. Dear old James Tavernier, I know you're a big fan of his, Ralph. I'll give you a
testimonial.
What are you saying?
I'll go to his testimonial. Probably be the only person there, right enough.
Has it not been?
I don't think so.
He's leaving soon, so I don't think he'll be getting a testimonial. But yeah, right, so Liam Scales, Ralph, that perfect ball for Tierney, and then Tierney running towards the byline. All of those things we've been wanting to see for that second goal. How was it watching it?
It didn't look like Maeda was going to get to it, because about 5 minutes previous, he'd slid in and he was, the usual.
Yeah, that one. It went right
just that wee bit too slow.
That was a great move, incidentally.
It was a great move, and the finish was superb because it just nicked it off the defender's foot. A proper striker's finish, and
dare we say Maeda?
Yeah, it was. I didn't expect him to score that one. That is Maeda, though, isn't it? And the commentators were saying it as well. But if he has to, and I've always thought if he has to think about it, a bit like Gordon Marshall back in the day, if he had to think about making a save, he wouldn't make it. But if it was a reflex one, he would always cope. And that was exactly what I was thinking yesterday after Maeda got his first goal. Fantastic.
Gordon Marshall getting a mention in tonight's podcast talking about Maeda scoring a goal.
Yeah. If you had Gordon Marshall on your ETIM scratch card, please phone the hotline. You're a winner.
It's a fine haircut, I'm told.
So right. I'm just right. So in the stadium, Hector, feel free to contradict me if you felt differently. But we go 2-1 up. Everybody's over the moon. To be fair, from my point, me and the guy in front of me, we were kind of like, surely he's offside. Surely Tierney's offside. That's the way the game played out. Everybody else has gone mad. And the guy
negative.
But then we're watching the ref, and the ref, none of that. The ref just turns in points, like as if that's it. We're waiting for the VAR checking offside or whatever. But then when you see the replays, that guy, the far side's playing him well on. Yeah. But in the stadium, Hector, it was that wee moment, like we scored, we go 2-1 up, and it's like the sticker twist moment, as in, are we going to go right over the top of him here, or are they going to charge back, wouldn't it? And I want to get the feeling for the stadium and then compare it to what the guys are feeling, what's on the telly. I'd love to know what Ian Crocker was fucking saying at that point.
Well, the thing was, mind, right? And obviously we're going to talk about the overhead kick. That's good. Right, we're going to come. I know, but it was such a small window.
Yeah,
it was 2 minutes between the second and third goal. So the ball goes in, we're 2-1 up, but then it was just on the front foot straight away. And even leading up to the overhead kick, and a great example of that was we pressed him at the edge of their box about a minute after he scored the second goal for us. And I think it was Dyson and Kalmack, 2 or 3 occasions were in amongst them, their centre-halves, their midfielders, to win possession. But then it's fed back out, obviously, to Netkin Tierney for the goal. So that was an example. So, yeah, we were on the front foot. And even after the third, we continued on the front foot for a period. So I actually felt the first 20, 25 minutes of the second half was the best we've played, possibly, I don't know if it was all season, but in recent memory. Because, and bear in mind but it's the magnitude of the game. You know what I mean? It's okay to do it against, a Livingston, but this close to the end of the season, I thought they were really on it just before half time, and certainly that first 25 minutes they were right on it, and they didn't take the foot off the throat until maybe the last 20 minutes. They thought, right, but we'll come to that.
I thought it was going to be a massacre at that point. I really thought we were going to run over the top of them and get 6 or 7 goals. But what man of the match Nick Walsh did was pull us back every possible opportunity after that. Yeah. It was I think we ended up with twice as many fouls.
Yeah, that's it. It's that 68 to 34 or something.
Yeah, every time we were away, it would pull us back.
Yeah.
And that kind of slowed it a wee bit. And they come back into it.
Yeah,
maybe 10 minutes.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but so I just wanted to know, immediately we scored 2-1. Here we go. What's going to happen here? Are they going to start to try and push out? Are they going to make changes? But they don't actually really get the chance. So we'll start with Monty first. They don't really get the chance because Engels ends up playing the ball around. It's Tierney, it's Tanecki. Tierney runs by Tanecki. Tanecki comes back. Turns, I think, Tavernier, or at least somebody whoever was outside, turns, and then Tanecki gets the ball across the goal. Whoever it was in Rangers colours tries to clear it, and the ball's going away from goal, Monty. And I know you've scored a goal or two in your time. I believe you may have scored at Celtic Park at some point, but a bit like Desi Maeda scored there yesterday. So the ball's going away from goal, Monty. Were you thinking to yourself, I know exactly what I would do at this point, Dyson, and you go off as well?
The reaction after he executed that, I think, tells it all. And if anybody listening, or if you haven't seen the Brazilian commentary or heard it, should I say, it's doing the rounds on Twitter and online. It does it justice. I don't think anyone thought he had that in him. But I do vaguely recall him scoring a similar goal. It might have been for Japan, though, although part of me thinks it was us a couple of years back, like a scissory kick, but that was just unreal. So it's almost surreal, Desi. And I think on the replay of it, when you see it and just how close it was and how it dipped under the bar, like it nearly shaved it and then went in the side net, and it was just the most perfect execution of a kick. But I thought he was going to just miscontrol it as per normal, and it would fucking bounce away out for a shy or something. Immense.
I had a perfect view of it, and it was one of those ones. So there'll be 50,000 people in the stadium. Say there's, I don't know, 10,000 in the main stand back round about me, and I dare say there's 10,000 people saying the exact same thing. It seemed to be in that Matrix bullet time, whereby time just stops and inches forward, and you're like that, and you feel yourself rising as if, wait a fucking minute. I mean, as if you're the only person in the world who can see this at this point, that's fucking in. That's fucking, because you can just see the stanchion, the top corner of the stanchion, and the ball, and just say, so the geometry to actually get that circle into that fucking triangle was just perfect. Do you think he meant it, Ralph?
Yeah, I do. Because if you notice how he hits it, it's sort of, it's controlled it first of all, and it's landed sweet, and he hits it square in the top of his foot, I think he meant it.
No, I'm only saying that in jest. I've no doubt whatsoever. Especially the first thing he does as soon as he hits it, you see his arm hitting the floor, but his head swivels right away. No, he's not as if he's just right away, as if he knows exactly what he's done. He's trying, that way. It was a perfect. I've not seen any coverage of anybody actually saying, "Oh, was that a foot?" But the only person, Hector, that said it was lucky was Desi Maeda. You see him when he got interviewed after the game.
That's him, isn't it? He seems like quite a quiet fella, just humble kind of guy. But the overhead kick, of course he tried to score, but did he know where the ball's exactly going to go? Of course he doesn't. It's an overhead kick, but it was surreal. Just when you were saying there, when he does the overhead kick where we are, when he first hits it, you think that's going over the bar, right? But then there's just that, and it's very rare it happens, there just seems like a wee half second, the place just, it's a lull, just goes, it's a gasp of air. And I can only think, top of my head, there'll be more, but I'm talking about magnitude of games again, right? There's two other goals like that spring to mind. One was Nakamura's free kick against Man United, with that 30-yarder, where the dip he puts on it, it's over, but it curls under the bar, and you take that, and obviously Henrik's lob over Klaus, the 6-2 game, when he does the chip, the dink.
Yeah.
And that's the three Maedas yesterday where I'm thinking that Celtic Park in massive games where there's just that wee intake of air.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking limbs, isn't it?
Do you remember the film Backdraft? Do you remember the film Backdraft? They used to have the wee bit, and there was the wee wisp of smoke would come out from under the door, and then it would be sucked back in with the backdraft, and then somebody would open the door, and it would be fucking all hell would break loose. It was like that idea.
But that was it. And this is we're doing the podcast, and also people, one or two were listeners who maybe are overseas and that, but you're in the main stand with a laugh about it and everything else, right? But it was just chaos, wasn't it? It was just because you've seen a moment once they put 3-1 up, but you've seen something that probably unique in Celtic Rangers games. 3 games to go, league's pretty much on the line, and it's a goal that it's this generation's Henrik lob over Kloss goal. We've lived in that, and it's a time of all the cameras and all that. But now, this young group, they've now got the game where Maeda scores the overhead kick. And there's a perfect symmetry to all this, isn't it? Where Martin's first Old Firm game against Rangers, we beat them 6-2, Henrik's lob. And probably his last, we beat them 3-1, and it's the overhead kick from Desi and Maeda. There's something quite great about that, I think.
Yeah, and you do say it's kind of unique, but as someone noted, we also have now taken the best overhead kick award off them after yesterday's game. So I thought that was quite good. So yeah, but again, this to stick with the goal for a minute or two. I love the reactions. Like you see Engels with his hands on his head, with a whole what the fuck, can't I believe it? When you see it from the other side, Butland's standing still. He's not a clue. But then you just see him looking back in the bottom corner as if. But then there's also Alistair Johnson. The balls now, like if you see it from behind the goal, if you imagine the goal, midpoint in the goal, the ball's maybe like say 20 feet in the air, but you can see the ball. Alistair Johnson's got his hands out as if to say, I know this is going in. But Butland's just kind of still wondering where the ball is. But if you watch it, you'll see Alistair Johnson. Yeah. But my favourite was watching Sporting last night, and when he hits it and the ball goes in, you see the cameraman behind the goal, the wee guy sitting in the camera pivot, and he looks away from the camera with his mouth agog. He's just like, as if like before he's got his face in the camera, and then suddenly it's like, what the? Absolutely brilliant. And then as you say, bedlam. Like I think at the standing section, the railings fell over. There's all these that like. So I've written here for the during the intro. I meant to actually say it's 30 hours since the goal. So that's about 1,900 different video angles everybody's watched that goal from. So the first thing that I don't know if anyone else did, but I took an extra half an hour to get to my work today. This to sit in my bed watching on it. Oh, there's a unique angle. There's another fan's angle. There's an angle from right behind it. Oh, unbelievable. So watching it at home, guys, or watching it in the pub, how many times did Sky reshow it?
Hey, it was over and over and over again. The bit that got me is like you're saying about that wee bit of a lull, because the angle of the camera was kind of in line with the shot, and it looked like it had bounced behind the goal.
It's like the angle you're just giving us there, Ralph, of your
yeah, this for George the listener, you don't understand. This for George the listener, Ralph's talking about the camera angle. Ralph puts the camera, his phone at his feet, so we have to look up at his chin while he's speaking on this podcast. And there, when he started talking, he diverted it to look at the ceiling, so we just got to see his ceiling light.
Fine cornicing there, Ralph. Fine cornicing.
No, that was a dog. That was a dog.
Right, sorry, Ralph, what you said.
So Ralph, that angle, it kind of looked in. It looked like it had bounced behind, first of all. And it's only when you've seen the net move And it was a kind of, oh, fuck, that's went in. I don't know if it was because it was Maeda that had taken the shot and you weren't expecting it to go in. But the surprise obviously gave way to a wee bit jubilee. And of course, when, what's his name, Crocker had stopped crying, they waxed lyrical about it.
Yeah. Oh, Monty, the only other thing about the goal I loved was the players' celebration. I mean, like the subs have ran on, everybody's just went mental. You see, it's just the pile on, as they used to say in the school. I mean, just pile on. But then you see, like, and I watched it, all the angles I watched of it. The pile on, there's a wee interesting act, but Kiernan gets up and he's saluting the crowd and he's cheering everybody. But then McGregor gives round them all like an individual, like as if you guys like. But then he just like to Maeda as if you're the guy. And then it's just Maeda and the fans. We just a second, but it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And that beautiful picture when he walks past Tavernier.
I was going to say, there's a hanging in the Louvre one if we manage to do this.
And everybody like at Hampden, I've got the Scott McTominay Gabe Owen now with these pictures on the end of the tenement. And people are saying Govan Road, there's one in Maeda. Superimposing Maeda on the Govan Road. That was nice.
Yeah, but it's one of the, it's iconic if we can do it. Like with 2 games, and if we can do it, it becomes a fucking absolute iconic thing in its own right for everything.
Yeah. And again, like we talked before, Hector. We talked before who would be the person who could get this over the line. So that's Maeda, 6 goals in 4 games now. And then we just hope he can recharge his batteries. So we're now one behind. We're one behind Hearts. So it's just one behind, isn't it?
Yep. 1 point.
One behind Hearts. So basically, it's in our hands, as they would say. But Ralph, I've been thinking about your quote recently from a recent pod about the whole "don't climb the mountain" and stuff. I think it was the Feyenoord, Celtic Feyenoord. You climb a mountain and come over a pebble kind of idea.
Yeah, stumble over the molehill at the top of the mountain.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that happens. So looking ahead to Wednesday, right? So that was we got Rangers. Rangers, their season is over. Do not pass go. Do not collect £200. Do not collect 40 million in the Champions League. Hector, what does Martin O'Neill need to do, and Maloney, etc., to get the guys ready for Wednesday? Is it this more of the same, or do they need to consider other things given the fact
more of the same? Absolutely. They've now we done the recent pod and we're talking about winning, and even though it was winning by grinding out results, they were winning, right? And the first time I thought I started right, let's get back a wee bit. The Scottish Cup game is St Mirren. St Mirren scored in injury time. Remember we said that could be that, taking it to extra time, we get 4 goals in 6-7 minutes. That late goal for St Mirren might just be the wee thing that clicks, because we get 4 goals and we're struggling to score goals. Then we played, I think it was Falkirk the week later at Celtic Park. The Green Brigade's back in, and we won the brilliant, but there was more fluidity in our play against Falkirk. It was a better game. They play football as well, so it was always a better game. But we were still winning, and I felt the Rangers game, it wasn't just the win, it was a performance we got. We've been wanting a performance. We got a performance yesterday. I know for 90 minutes. Nobody does for 90 minutes against a strong opponent. But we got so I think the team talk for Martin and these guys is quite straightforward. It's just that they're on a high right now. I imagine training's buzzing. They're back in today. You keep that energy going, right? Motherwell's a football team. They'll play football. They'll give you chances. They might create chances. But our press has been great the last couple of games. And that's where Motherwell's weakness is. If you really commit to press them, there's mistakes there. If it's a half-hearted press, like it was when the battered us in 2-0, but the battered us 2-0, we were on the end of 3 straight defeats. Wilfred was in charge, and it was chaos, right? Let's not go over that again, but it was chaos. It's very different now. If our press is on a button like it has been, the energy's high, I think we can cause them a lot, because they will not, their style set out, but they'll also go long. They're well coached. I think the momentum's with us if we play the exact same way as we've done the last couple of weeks.
If I'm not mistaken, Welsh can't play either. She can't.
No.
That's obviously that disrupts him.
I think it's a shame for us because they might have scored their own goal knowing Stephen Welsh. You know what I mean? He's probably raging he can't play.
But I think, Hector, you're right to caution it. And the form, like Motherwell have won 1 and 8, but that doesn't tell a tale. They're a really, really good side. And this is, a few discussions back, we talked about Motherwell being the kingmakers. Wednesday is so fucking, for me, Wednesday feels bigger than yesterday's game. Everything about it feels geared towards it. And I think if we can, and exactly what you've said, Hector, be on our game with the press. We're experienced enough. We know how to deal in this. So O'Neill's been talking a little bit about, for a long time, we've been done at this stage. We've never really had the chase.
Mm-hmm. It's always been like 15 ahead.
Always been so far ahead that, it's the foot off the gas. And I think that learning curve for McGregor and Scales, people who've got the championship medals already, the core nucleus of that squad, this is a new challenge for them. And sometimes, as you say, Hector, that trigger of the extra time with St Mirren sparks something in you. And now you've got this thing to go after, which is you're hunting somebody down. I just hope the fuck, because we've got Beaton in charge as well. I just hope that we stay up. And we have the Beaton and Dallas game. But everything, as you know, the broadcaster in the league, this is a phenomenal outcome for them that we do our business on Wednesday night. It's a last day shootout. And they've been craving this for fucking a decade.
Sorry, Desi. A last game shootout.
I know it like the 4-2 game or whatever, but like in the modern era, really.
Rangers Aberdeen was a way back. I don't see the modern.
Oh, you're right. Aberdeen could have been
89, 90, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I was just going to say, right, and we've hit a bit of form. Embrace it, enjoy it, because we've been asking for a performance, right? But we're not going to get carried away because the season's demonstrated we can't get carried away, right? But let's just embrace what we've seen yesterday. But putting it out there again, see if we draw, the game goes to Celtic Park on Saturday. We've got to beat, and you know what? We'll deal with that. Let's see how Wednesday goes. All I'm saying is, if it's a draw, it's no the end of the world. It might feel like it if Hearts win. Don't. But I'm just saying, if we're drawing one each or nothing each with 5 minutes to go, we can't go gung ho and cavalier if Hearts are winning at Tynecastle. At
the minute, if we both equal each other's result tomorrow, it's a 2-0 win at Celtic Park.
Yeah.
No matter what.
That's a good point.
Right.
There's a lot being made. Hold on just a second, if I may. There's a lot being made of the repeat of 86, the last day thing with Albert Kid Day and all that kind of thing. But I think you'll probably find that if Ian Crocker's commentating tomorrow night, he'll mention Helicopter Sunday a lot. Because that day still hurts. That was a horrible day. And that was at Ford Park. And that was when we lost the league at the last minute.
O'Neill talks about it, Ralph, and he talked about it in his autobiography as well. He said it was his darkest day in football.
Oh, it's horrible.
There's a but, though. There's a but, right? That was the last game of the season, right?
Right.
In 1986, when we came from nowhere to claw back and beat Hearts, our penultimate game of the season was a midweek game.
That's right, yeah.
Away to guess who?
What?
Falkirk won?
Motherwell. Away to Motherwell.
Motherwell.
Midweek, Wednesday night, I think it was. Away to Motherwell, we won 2-0 before we won against St Mirren on the Saturday and they get pumped by Dundee. So, I would just a wee thing, just putting it out there, that's all.
Okay, right. We're
so many sort of strands on it, Hector. There's so many different subplots. Sorry, Desi, go on ahead. I know you've got more to do.
This is meant to be only for an hour. It started off 45 minutes was the plan. We were out there.
That's an hour. They were 10 minutes late having a cigarette.
Right. So they were, to be fair.
You're okay here.
Right. But I've got before I go into my last two wee minor points. But predictions then. Ralph, what's your prediction for Wednesday?
Hector definitely touched on it. If we press them, we'll beat them, and we'll beat them quite well. When I watched the Motherwell Hearts game, they tended to dither a wee bit. and they would sort of roll the ball forward before they decided where to play it. And if we're pressing them, they won't be able to do that, and that'll disrupt them. I am going to stick my neck out and say we're going to beat them 4-1, because we always concede someone.
I had 4-1 on for yesterday. I was unlucky with my prediction yesterday. Monty, what were you?
It's the one I'm nervous about. I was nervous about Hibs until they had the 2 men sent off the game before, although that didn't really play into our hands, but we grounded out. I thought Hibs would be where we'd slip. I'm nervous for Wednesday night. I haven't been nervous about a game, a bit like Hector saying, watching the Saturday game. Nerves in a while. But I think I fucking hate the jinx things. I think we're good enough now, Desi. We've found our form. We've a manager who's gone the course. We've a potential new inbound manager now who maybe is the curveball and wait and see, but I think we're going to be okay. I don't think we'll be as comfortable as Ralph suggests, but I take a shitty 1-0 right now, Desi, and I think it's going to be a little bit tighter, 1 or 2-0. That'll be about the height of it for us.
Okay. Hector, this is a quick question. Have you ever seen the game, have you ever seen the TV show Eggheads that used to be on? And they used to ask,
heard of it.
Remember Eggheads? They used to ask an expert, they'd give them multiple choice, and it would be silly questions at the start, like, what colour is black? And the guy would take fucking 2 minutes to explain why green was not black, and white was not black, and red was not black, before saying, I'll choose the answer black. That's like asking they two to give you a quick prediction of what the score's going to be. So I'll ask you, Hector, what do you think the score is going to be? I don't want to know what the weather's going to be. Just tell me.
Take your time. Take as long as you like, Hector. Fuck him.
Within 10 seconds, Desi, in 10 seconds, I think momentum's a massive thing. Massive.
Is he playing? Is he playing on Wednesday?
In all sports, we've gathered that momentum. I think we'll win 2-0.
So we've got a couple of 2-0s. I'll go for my traditional wife's reply of 2-1. I think we'll concede in every game. Hearts will score at part team, but I still think we've got enough. And I think Maeda will be the guy that gets us over the line for this title. So we'll go for 2-1, but I think the title will be actually interesting if Motherwell score first to see what happens. And
negative.
Oh,
there he goes again.
That ramps it up. I'm looking for the excitement. That ramps it up. And I heard somebody talking today about how that was Rangers had taken the lead against Hearts and Celtic and thrown both the leads away. Totally choked. Right, I've just got two last things. Sorry, Hector, they're for Monty and Ralph, but you can chip in. Monty, starting with you. Just a wee quick aside. The cup final tickets go on sale tomorrow, Monty. £52 a head. But I don't know how much the Fat Cat tickets are, Monty. Have you any idea for the listeners how much you'll be paying for hospitality at Hampden, seeing as you went to the St Mirren end for the semi-final?
Sold out, both ends. I think the only thing left.
Sold out already?
Dunfermline's hospitality sold out, although I think that might be a wee stroke and they'll stick a few on.
Surely the login connection can get you to Hampden.
If I want to squeeze it, I'll squeeze it. The only thing left in the Celtic end is a $6,500 10-seat box. You're all right.
Sorry, you've not got 9 pals.
No, I'd take the box for myself for the day for badness, but no.
Nice. Okay, and my last thing I had was, Ralph, I know you weren't at the game, but you might have heard it on the TV. Hector and I were there, so we got to enjoy it. The Celtic DJ playing Oasis, Roll With It, and then Daddy Cool, i.e. Danny Roll. Ralph,
they didn't do the Daddy Cool.
What's that disrespect like?
Hey, the whole Roll With It thing was played, but I genuinely never made the connection with Danny Roll. Because I've seen them play it a few times at the ground, and we sing along with it and that.
Before
I never made that connection.
But it was always
to be fair, I think for Danny Roll, there's no coming back from that, is there? That was like that time we all sang Capuccio. How long ago was that? We all sang Capuccio's name when he came on, and the poor fella didn't even realise it was Celtic fans singing it. One of the games that would beat them, maybe in the green and whitewash season. But before we finish, I think it's important that we pay homage to Wilfred Nancy, because without those 6 points that he had got us Hearts would have won the league by now.
Well
So
done, mate.
if we can send
Thankfully,
love
somebody
across
else
to
acknowledges them.
France or Canada or wherever he is. See, it
Hopefully
all
we'll
turns
feel
out to
back
be
in-
crucial in the end.
Hopefully we'll see his swashbuckling attacking play back in football very soon. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
just somewhere else.
Just one thing, and it's just on the game itself on Wednesday. It was only the Hearts game that was on live in Sky on Wednesday night. I think Motherwell then came out today and we're going to do a pay-per-view for it. The Sky's reacted tonight. They've obviously got a lot of fucking criticism or whatever because they had the rights to show the game. So they're now showing the Celtic game as well on Wednesday night. So both games are on at the same time. So that's good. So Wednesday night will be interesting. Huh?
Nice. Wednesday night we'll be biting my knuckles. We're biting my nails down to the knuckles. So we'll just have to wait and see. So there we are, folks. We've vanquished the Huns, sent them away. Their season's over. We've now got 2 games in the league and 1 game in the cup final. Quick question. I don't know if I asked this in the last pod. Apologies, guys, for running on, but especially with Monty being back. Monty, would you take a league win but give up the Scottish Cup to Lenny because it would mean Rangers would then go into the Conference League? Would you accept that deal right now?
I would view it irrelevant of the Lenny Rangers gesture. I'd take it right now. Take it right now.
Ralph?
Yeah, take the league every time.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, if I was giving you the gamble, I'm not saying you were going to lose the league. I'm saying I'm offering you the league now, but you're not going to win the Scottish Cup. But by not losing the Scottish Cup, Rangers will
Actually, no, and I'll tell you for why. Imagine if Dunfermline win the Scottish Cup and Dermot Desmond bumps into Neil Lennon after the game when we're looking for a new manager. It's not worth the risk. No, it's not worth the risk.
Mr. Askew is already on the Celtic guest list for Hampden. He's right next to Mr. Monty C. Burns in the hospitality for you. Don't worry. Hector, what about you?
No.
No, that's well done, mate. Stalwart, that's it. Tell them to go fuck themselves.
Fuck them.
That's right, and I Karen Celtic happy before I forget, Karen a happy Celtic last. She did say thank you to Hector. I don't know if you noticed it in the comments, Hector, but she did say thank you for Hector for your consistent remarks on Douglas Ross. And I think we all know what those are. So she said thanks.
He's a cunt. There you go.
And he still is. God bless. All right, folks. So that is us. So I don't know if we'll be back after tomorrow night. If it all goes horrible, or no, tomorrow, Wednesday night, if it all goes horribly tits up, possibly. But if we're all still alive and kicking, then there's a good chance we could be on for a Mammy Daddy style podcast before Saturday's big showdown. Fingers crossed. All right, this left for me to say thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you, Monty C. Burns. Thank you, Monty.
Thanks, Desi. Thanks, lads.
Thank you, Ralph Mal. Thank you, Ralph.
Cheers, thanks.
And last but not least, thank you to Hector Bandido, who's named Maeda Magic, which is going to be the name of the podcast night. Thank you, Hector. All the best, lads, for Wednesday night. Touchwood, we'll all be celebrating. All right, my name's Desmond, folks. Thank you for listening. Good night.
Big Tams of the Gallowgate are proud to sponsor the E-Tims podcast for season 25-26. Are you Jack Butland? Are you looking for the ball? Can you see Wee Dyson doing his overhead kick? What are you waiting for? Pick it out the net, Jack lad. Big Tams, giving directions to Rangers goalkeepers since 2023.